New York City's mayoral candidates are denouncing gun violence after Saturday's shooting spree in Times Square. 3 people were wounded in the incident, including a 4-year-old girl who was shopping for toys with her family. They were not the intended targets. Police have identified a suspect. The 2 leading Democratic candidates for mayor held press conferences at the crime scene this weekend. Eric Adams and Andrew Yang both claim the shooting means the city needs to increase support for the New York Police Department. Yang and Adams have used that message to court the moderate vote in a crowded field of 8 Democratic primary hopefuls. Some progressive candidates have called to decrease the NYPD's $6 billion budget ahead of the June 22nd election. Elizabeth Kim is a senior editor for Gothamist and WNYC Public Radio, covering the 2021 mayoral race, and she joins me now from New York City. Elizabeth, welcome. Great to have you with us. So let's talk about gun violence in New York City in light of the shooting, this recent shooting. How is it becoming a central issue and essentially causing a divide within the candidates?
Right. I think it's important to note that all of the candidates have pledged to address gun violence, which is up around 80% compared to last year. But there are 2 candidates, Eric Adams and Andrew Yang, who are really seizing on this issue. Eric Adams, who is a former police captain, has made public safety a central part of his platform since the very beginning. And Andrew Yang, more lately, has been kind of picking up this issue as something to campaign on. In light of the shooting, they are reminding voters that they would not decrease this police budget, and they are both interested in reinstituting a unit of plainclothes police officers on the streets, something which Mayor de Blasio disbanded last year.
And Andrew Yang has been the front runner for much of the race, correct? But according to Politico, the most recent poll is showing that Eric Adams may be overtaking him. Based on your reporting, is it fair to say those 2 are generating the most enthusiasm at this juncture? And is there any controversy surrounding their campaigns?
So certainly we know that Yang has come into this race with tremendous name recognition. He has 2 million Twitter followers, and basically, if you ask everyday New Yorkers, and we have on the streets, tell us who you know that's running in this race, they will say Andrew Yang. Adams, on the other hand, is not as much of a social media star, but what he has done is he's collected a lot of really important union endorsements. And those actually can translate into boots on the ground who do voter outreach. If you think about it, that's actually what you need to win elections. It's actually getting people to go into the polling booth and voting for you. In terms of controversies, Yang has been scrutinized, I would say, more so than Adams, especially as the primary gets closer. The most recent examination has been that of his relationships with the lobbyist Bradley Tusk. Tusk's firm is actually running Yang's campaign. And, because Yang is not a traditional politician in the sense that he's not a political ideologue. He's moderate on some issues, he's left on others. And that's where some people can kind of start questioning, can he be trusted, or is he a little bit too flexible? Will he lean too much on people, pro-business people like Tusk, to guide him? Adams, I think that a lot of people are wondering whether there will be more scrutiny of his past ethics issues when he was a state senator. He was also a Republican prior to switching to becoming a Democrat. So, it's likely that people will try to raise that as well.
Well, Elizabeth, I want to ask you, because Yang, of course, was most well known when he was running for, the Democratic nomination for president, for his proposal for this UBI, this universal basic income of $1,000 a month to every American. Has he proposed something similar on a local level at all? Is he carrying over his sort of signature, piece of his signature platform to New York City?
He has, but it's a very watered down proposal, so much so that it would be disingenuous to really call it universal basic income, which you would think of as one for everyone and also like a substantive amount of money. So what he is proposing is roughly $2,000 a year, but that's only for the poorest New Yorkers, which would be about 500,000 residents.
All right, I also want to talk quickly about embattled candidate Scott Stringer, who has faced calls to drop out of the race and resign from his post as city comptroller after allegations of sexual misconduct. Stringer has also lost a number of endorsements as a result. Tell us a little bit more about these allegations and how they have shaken any hopes for a progressive, or I guess a truly progressive mayor of New York.
These allegations date back to 2001. A woman by the name of Jean Kim, who at the time was working as a volunteer on his campaign, claims that Stringer forcibly kissed and groped her multiple times, and this was all without her consent. Stringer has strongly denied the charges, and he said that he and Jean Kim had a friendship, and his words were, "with a little more." But what has happened in the wake of these allegations, as you said, is that he's really hemorrhaged support from a lot of progressives. And basically, these allegations also came at a time where his campaign was arguably peaking. So that was a real shakeup to his campaign and also the race. And what will be interesting to watch now is where his former supporters go. Last week, the Working Families Party, which had endorsed him as their first choice, they decided to endorse both Dianne Morales and Maya Wiley, the two other left-leaning candidates in the race. It's interesting because it's a shared endorsement. It's not ranked. So that's something to watch. Will other progressives also take that cue and endorse these two women as part of a unity ticket? That will be definitely something interesting to see, and it will be unprecedented in the mayoral race.
All right. Well, Elizabeth Kim, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us into the New York City mayoral race. More to come on that.